My standard for this comprehension presentation is LAFS.4.RI.1.1. Refer to details and examples in a text when explaining what the text says explicitly and when drawing inferences from the text. Students will follow along with me as I read a chapter from the book A Long Walk to Water and demonstrate how to make inferences within a text. I will model 3 examples with the class, and then students will read the next chapter independently and make their own inferences using the same chart used for the demonstration. Southern Sudan, 1985. The walking began again. Salva shook with terror inside and out. He clung to Uncle like a baby or a little boy, hanging on to his hand or shirt tail when he could, never letting Uncle get further than an arm's length away. I can make an inference about this sentence right here. What I already know is that babies usually cling to their parents when they are scared. This is how the author is describing Salva. The words from the text, we just copy the same thing that we see in the book of the sentence we're using. And my final inference is that Salva is probably scared because of what happened to his friend Mario. He is clinging to his uncle to feel safe. He looked around constantly. Every movement in the grass was a lion stalking. Every stillness a lion waiting to spring. Mario was gone, vanished into the night. He would never have wandered away from the group on his own. His disappearance could only mean one thing: lion. The lion had been hungry enough to approach the group as they slept. A few men had been keeping watch. But in the dark of the night, the wind rippling through the long grass, the lion could have easily crept close without being seen. It had sought out prey that was small and motionless, Mario, sleeping. And it had taken him away, leaving only a few splotches of blood near the path. If it hadn't been for Uncle, Salva might have gone crazy with fear. Uncle spoke to him all morning in a steady, low voice. And I can also make an inference about this sentence right here. What I already know is that having a steady and low voice usually means the person is speaking calm. The words from the text is what we just read. And what I can infer from this is Uncle is talking to Salva in a low and steady voice to calm Salva down after he was told the news about his friend Mario. Salva, I have a gun. I will shoot any lion that comes near. Salva, I will stay awake and keep watch. Salva, we will be soon out of lion country. Everything will be all right. Listening to Uncle, hurrying to stay close to him, Salva was able to make his feet move despite the cold terror throughout his whole body. But nothing was all right. He had lost his family, and now he had lost his friend as well. No one had heard any screaming in the night. Salva hoped with all his heart that the lion that had killed Mario instantly, that his friend hadn't had time to fear or pain. The landscape grew greener. The air smelled of water. The Nile, Uncle said. We will soon come to the Nile River and cross the other side. The Nile, the longest river in the world, the mother of all life in Sudan. Uncle explained that they would come to the river at one of its broadest stretches. It will not even look like a river. It will look like a big lake. We will spend a long time crossing to the other side. And what is on the other side? Salva whispered, still fearful. Desert, Uncle answered, and after that, Ethiopia. Salva's eyes filled with tears. Mario had been right about Ethiopia. How I wished he was here so I could tell him I was wrong. Salva stood on the bank of the Nile. Here, as Uncle said, the river formed a big lake. The group would cross the Nile in boats, Uncle said. It would take a whole day to reach the islands in the middle of the lake, and another day to get to the far shore. Salva frowned. He saw no boats anywhere. Uncle smiled at Salva's puzzled expression. What, you didn't bring your own boat, he said? Then I hope you are a good swimmer. Salva lowered his head. He knew that Uncle was teasing, but he felt so tired of worrying about his family, tired of thinking about poor Mario, tired of walking and not knowing where they were going. The least Uncle could do was tell them the truth about the boats. Uncle put his arm around Salva's shoulders. You'll see, we have a lot of work to do. Salva staggered forward with yet another enormous load of reeds in his arms. Everyone was busy. Some people were cutting down the tall papyrus grass by the water's edge. Others, like Salva, gathered up the cut stalks and took them to the boat builders. Among the group were a few people whose home villages had been near the rivers or lakes. They knew how to tie the reeds together and weave them cleverly to form shallow canoes. Everyone worked quickly, although there was no way of knowing whether they had to hurry or not, no way of knowing how near the war was. The fighting could be miles away, or a plane carrying bombs could fly overhead at any moment. It was hard work running back and forth between those cutting and those weaving, but Salva found that the work was helping him feel a little better. He was too busy to worry much. Doing something, even carrying big, awkward piles of slippery reeds, was better than doing nothing. Every time Salva delivered a load of reeds, he would pause for a few moments to admire the skills of the boat builders. The long reeds were laid out in neat bunches. Each end in a bunch would be tied together tightly. Then the bunch of reeds was pulled apart in the middle to form a hollow, and the two sides were tied together along their length to make a basic boat shape. More layers of reeds were added and tied to make the bottom of the boat. Salva watched fascinated as little by little the curve of a prow and low sides grew from the piles of reeds. It took 2 full days for the groups to build enough canoes. Each canoe was tested, a few did not float well and had to be fixed. Then more reeds were tied together to form paddles. At last, everything was ready. Salva got into a canoe between Uncle and another man. He gripped the sides of the boat tightly as it floated into the Nile. I'm also going to make an inference about this sentence right here. He gripped the side of the boat tightly as it floated out into the Nile. Gripping something usually means a person is trying to have control and that they may be afraid. The word from my text is what we saw in the book as the text evidence, and my inference is that Salva is still shaken from what happened to Mariel and is trying to feel safe and secure in the boat. These are all of our inferences. We have our background knowledge, our text evidence, and our inference, and next students will do this independently by themselves and then talk to a shoulder partner about their inferences afterwards.